So how today's meetup is gonna look like, we'll have a couple of presentations, Vladi will say them. You have some stuff here from us and betahaus as well. And by the way, this is also for a reason. Vladi, who is the co-founder of Bulgarian crypto community, has a birthday today, so a round of applause for him. Yeah, so, and also we have a new sponsor now. LaunchCup became our supporter. LaunchCup is one of the most active investors here in Bulgaria, but also in the whole region. And they are actually one of the very first investors, maybe even in Europe, who recognized Bitcoin and the whole blockchain thing as a big thing. They invested in Kashila, a company that was doing processing of Bitcoin transactions in 2014. Then the team became one of the most successful ICOs, for 2015, raised over 240,000 Ether, right? Something like that, which is a lot of money now. Back then it was about, yeah. So it was $10 million back then, but now it's a lot more. So they are very active in the community, they want to help out, they are gathering research on legal issues, so we're kind of having a vibrant ecosystem of how these things will play out. Today also, we start for the first time, every time we'll be telling the most interesting events, which Vladi will speak about what happened in crypto for the last month. We'll be doing that monthly. So this is going to be done by Vladi now, and he'll then present all the speakers. So yeah, enjoy.
Okay, hello guys, hello everyone. Can you hear me well? Is this working? Okay. So ever since last time we said that we are going to have a poll in our Facebook group, Sofia Crypto Meetup, which is about which are the 3 most important things that happened in the crypto sphere or blockchain sphere during the past month. And this month is of course the big Bitcoin SegWit activation in Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. And you can see the poll here. So it's not 3, it's just 2, but as you can see, overwhelmingly, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash are the topic of this month, definitely. And so what are these things? So what's happening? What we have here. So it's SegWit. SegWit is a software update that came up, that got implemented very recently in Bitcoin and has been waited, or like the community has been waiting for this for a long time. So just to give you just brief history, so you know what happened, and when somebody asks you, you know what's happening with Bitcoin. It was this SegWit was proposed by Peter Yuli, I'm not sure what the name is, during 2015, but it took 2 years and a lot of problems in the community for this thing to get implemented. And it was not implemented in the form of SegWit, it was implemented in the form of SegWit 2X, let's say, in a working group which was led by Jeff Garzik, a very popular Bitcoin developer. It was locked in August 8th, so this month, and then it was activated on August 24th, so just six days ago. This is the block that mined the first SegWit transaction, and it's very interesting because it's btc.com, which is governed or operated by the guy who is very much against SegWit, and he's a big blocker, called Roger Ver. And it primarily solves malleability. It's not directed in increasing block size, it solves malleability, but as an additional improvement, it increases block size. And the next step that everyone is waiting for, or to see what's going to happen, if there are going to be problems and other problems in the scaling debate, so to say, is the move to a hard fork in November 18th. So I think this is going to be the next big issue in the Bitcoin community. Will this fork happen, or what's going to happen? And then very quickly about Bitcoin Cash. What is this? This basically a new Bitcoin or an altcoin, which was forked. It basically separated the Bitcoin network into 2 parts on August 1st. It was supposed to happen only as a defense measure against something called user-activated soft fork. and it's focused on transaction capacity. It increased the Bitcoin block size to 8 megabytes with a hard fork. And it does not include SegWit. What is interesting is that everyone who had Bitcoins on August 1st received the same amount of Bitcoin Cash. And Bitcoin Cash's price currently is about, I don't know, $550 or something like that. So free money, basically free money for everyone who had Bitcoins. And currently there is a faster inflation. A block is found every 2 minutes. And the transactions currently in the Bitcoin Cash system are much cheaper than Bitcoin. But this is most probably because SegWit has not fully been implemented into the Bitcoin system. And then these were the two very quick updates, so you know what's happening, what are the hottest topics in the sphere. What we have done is also we have marked the median price of Bitcoin for each meetup. So you see number 19 here. This is now. You can see how the price has been progressing for the day of the meetup. And I must say that this is very much related to the people who are here, to the number of people who attend. And I'm doing the same thing with the Ether price. You see here there's a small drop there, but more or less still going up. And so what's next? This was my very short update. What we have now is 3 presentations. The first one is by our guest Mariza Monteiro. And she's going to talk about mass adoption of cryptocurrencies. Then we have Joro Penchev, which are going to talk about, like Joro, Penchev, and Ljubo, who are going to talk about Sofia, or how Sofia municipality might implement blockchain technology. And last but not least, going to be in a Neterra data center. They're going to talk about a topic which is related very much to the miners, maybe the miners among you. So I'm just going to give the word now to Mariza.
Thank you. There you go. This one? Happy birthday to Vlad. Yay, thank you so much. Oh, it's gone. Awesome. Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Great. I'm really super excited, so if I talk fast, just let me know. It's just because I'm excited about cryptocurrency and mass adoption, and also the size of this meetup. Oh my goodness, last year it was like 15 people. So this is very encouraging, and I guess also to Vlad's chart of things turning upward. What I want to talk about today is a lot less technical. I won't deep dive into a lot of stuff. It's more food for thought for everyone. As we're here, I've seen a lot of investors that are in the crowd, a lot of people that have been investing for a long time. Who here is a developer? A lot of developers, great. Entrepreneurs? Few entrepreneurs. Of the entrepreneurs, are you guys taking cryptocurrency for revenue? Are you accepting, anybody accepting it in their business? Excellent, that's really great. So I want to talk about that as well, and really talk about what the challenges are, but end it with opportunities, because there's a lot of opportunities here as the space grows and grows to create this mass adoption. It's not going to be terribly soon. Who thinks we'll see some mass adoption next year? More people, more people. 1 billion people. 1 billion people have cryptocurrency. Let's say that, 1 billion people. Does anybody's mom have Bitcoin or one of those? Good for you for getting your mom into it. I'm trying to get my dad still. That's what I mean by mass adoption. When your mom has Bitcoin, that's pretty much it. That's the goal. So let's get into it. Who am I? My name is Mariza Monteiro. I'm the founder of a new site called Chino's Crypto. About me, I've spent 10 years in the US in finance and in the investment industry. That's my background. I have an MBA. I left the corporate world about 6 years ago and retired from that to Brazil and was based there for several years, doing international business consulting. So you've heard of international business consultants, right? It's just basically whatever project comes my way that pays enough, then I do that. Investments, immigration, I do startup sales strategy, now based in Berlin. But what is really getting me up in the morning, I've been sitting on the sidelines for blockchain and cryptocurrency, quietly watching for the last couple of years. But now I'm trying to empower people and humanity to embrace a new monetary system. I think this is a big hope thing. It's not a niche thing. for us, for people that are in the know or the technologically advanced folks. It's for everybody, so I want to talk about that. Mass adoptions, why do we care? Does anybody think mass adoption is important for cryptocurrency, right? Awesome. What is good about it? What makes it beneficial to the blockchain? People will use it, right? We want people to use it, not just us. We'll get to that with some of the challenges. You're already on number 2 about the price volatility. So a lot of those present a lot of challenges. There are a variety of those. I'm going to talk about the ones that are top of my mind in particular. If you go and Google challenges, there's a lot of different ones in relation to the technical aspect of the blockchain, of cryptocurrency, of decentralization. The list goes on and on for hundreds of pages. So I want to talk about the ones that are top of my mind in particular and really start a discussion beyond today. So after the meetup and as you're thinking about your own business and your own personal life and your investments and how you think about money. And then hopefully give some folks some ideas of new opportunities in this space as well. So reasons for mass adoption. One of the things I really like about cryptocurrency and the blockchain in general is the ease of transfer. It's fast, it doesn't really cost very much, bureaucracy, borderless. That's absolutely amazing. I think cryptocurrency should be as easy as doing this. Done, transfer done. That's what we should try to get to, that it's simple and easy and maybe not with a piece of paper. That would be the only different thing. The other part that excites me is taxation and regulation. The governments that issue fiat currency have a lot of regulation that really limits what we can do. So decentralization and the control that there is with taxation and regulation is something that we can be really free for and really liberating when it comes to cryptocurrency mass adoption. So, and that's a big question that we hear a lot with a lot of the lawyers in different governments. Is this outside of their sphere of control? Should it be taxed? Does it have a value? Does it have a fiat value? This is a big space and another opportunity as well. So the top 2 challenges categories I'd like to talk about is trust and confidence and the perception of cryptocurrency. Even the word is crypto. It sounds cryptic. It sounds confusing. So that's very important and relates to education. So some of the challenges with trust and confidence is the price volatility. You mentioned the price going up and down. We're really liking that upside right now. We've seen a lot of dips. And what is really causing that at this point? What's the main reason for the price volatility? Anybody? Regulation? That's FOMO. FOMO, yeah, go ahead. Speculation. The price volatility is scary for a lot of people. If I show my dad the Bitcoin chart, it's very, very scary. Even the Ether chart. One bad press and a hack and it drops down. That's very scary. So that's going to hurt trust and confidence. And that relates a lot to investments and speculation. A lot of people think they're going to come in at the bottom either with Bitcoin or at this point no, even if it gets to 10,000, but an ICO, put their money in and take it out. Those swaps quickly really, really hurt the price volatility and really hurt overall trust and confidence for the masses. Bad press. People are still talking about Silk Road, which is kind of sad. And that's what is, top of mind, what hits the Wall Street Journal, what hits New York Times and all of the global news at BBC is different kinds of scams. Remember the Bitcoin ATMs, all of those things. That drama that there is in cryptocurrency, that's what makes the news. So a way to level that out. I wrote fear. Actually, regulation. It's still pretty much the wild, wild west for cryptocurrencies in general. And there's a lot of skepticism about how it's going to be regulated, how the US is going to regulate it. They keep changing their minds, whether it has a value, if it should be taxed. Even the tax category varies from country to country. Is it intangible property? Is it revenue? Is it, nobody knows. So because nobody knows, and they're still trying to form a consensus, people are afraid. People are afraid to take this income in their business. Do they take it off their balance sheet? Do they take it in on their balance sheet? So that the regulation and for fear of being outside of regulation and being penalized for that is scaring a lot of people. Competing altcoins, and I say competing because I'm thinking when people think about cryptocurrency, they don't think cryptocurrency. The majority of folks beyond this room think Bitcoin. That's the one that they really, really recognize. You say Ether and they think you're putting them to sleep or something like that. So competing altcoins, so what is the real cryptocurrency? In a lot of people's mind, there should be one, but we've got a lot of different fiat currencies because we have a lot of different countries. So how do we differentiate in people's minds, why is there altcoins? Which one is the better one? Which is the more trustworthy one? So that's confusing. Another piece is also a very hot topic right now is ICOs, and also doesn't have a lot of regulation. What's going on with ICOs? Are they penny stocks? Are they scams? What's backing them? Are they going to be their own tokens? Are we going to exchange them? Are they going to have value in the future? Are the ones that are doing ICOs, are they going to deliver code in the next 5 years? There's a lot of skepticism around that as well, which is creating uncertainty. Security. When I talk to people about how to purchase a wallet and tell them about private keys versus the wallet address versus all the different numbers, they want to know if they lose their key, can they present an ID somewhere to claim their wallet? And that's a security that people have. I lose a number, what am I supposed to do? Tattoo it inside my leg? People don't know, and it's very scary. So changing that mentality as well in regards to security. And then also, the hacking is a concern for folks. That stuff makes the news. Who do I go? Should we have it insured? Who's going to insure it? The government, if my wallet's stolen? All of this is really, really confusing. The next one is perception. So is this crypto stuff money? Who thinks cryptocurrency is money? Most people? Kind of, sort of? Yeah, even in this room, we're not really sure. Is it money? That's a perception thing. What do we call it? And then in general, the UX of most of it kind of sucks. I've been on exchanges trying to change dollars or euros and losing it in BitCash or putting a margin trade by accident or whatever. The UX is not good. So what defines money? Money is primarily a medium of exchange or means of exchange. So what I just did with this guy, he just got $2. And a way for people to trade what they have for what they want. Note, a prerequisite is not government issued or regulated, but basically just a means of exchange, so it satisfies that. When I talk to people about cryptocurrency and they ask me if it's money, this is what I tell them. You can call it money if you want, but it means you're going to have to change the way that you think about money. People have been raised culturally, socioeconomically, whatever it is, to think a certain way about money, to think it's a paper thing, to think it's something that they can divide into coins. It's called Bitcoin. Can you divide 0.000 actually into a coin? People picture that. And if you're going to buy $3 worth of Bitcoins, they can't even imagine how many decimal places that goes out to. So instead of thinking of it as a fiat exchange, another way to think about it, what is Bitcoin now? Is it going to be $5,000 this month? What's Ether? Almost 400 now? What's the new gold standard in terms of cryptocurrency? We keep pegging it to the fiat currency. Is there another way to think about it? I was just talking to Vlad. People here in Bulgaria, when they think of levs and they're using their levs, they're not thinking how many dollars they have. They're thinking, can I buy potatoes with this? Can I use this at the restaurant? People aren't thinking of cryptocurrency that way. It's always what it is in fiat currency. So ideally, money has 3 characteristics. It acts as a medium of exchange, as we talked about. It's an economic good, and it's a means of economic calculation. So as an economic good, you can take it and get something else with it. As a means of economic calculation, we see that in crypto economics. That's the basis of mining. So it's definitely that as well. Cryptos satisfy all of this criteria. Can we substitute this for fiat currency? Who thinks that we will one day substitute cryptocurrency for fiat? A couple of folks, not a lot. Oh, that hurts a little bit. Not a lot. We can dream, right? Well, how I like to think of it, and when I try to explain it to people now, what can we exchange as an economic good with cryptocurrency? We can do it between each other. A lot of us have wallets. So if I want to buy somebody's laptop today, I can send them money on their Bitcoin wallet. Could you do it for your apartment? Yeah, your landlord could open up a wallet. You could do that. Can you do it at the restaurant? Some of them. Here you can. In Berlin, you can as well. So restaurants, how far do we have to go? Think about your daily expenses. Where could we, use our cryptocurrency? Probably not to pay the fee for your driver's license or your passport. That's where it starts, or your light bill, necessarily. Those types of institutions. But we can think of having basically two sources of income, one that's fiat and one that's cryptocurrency, and start thinking about our value in that way. So back again to perception, the thing that really annoys me at this point is the user experience. Again, it's bad, it's really bad. So I grabbed this from a Coinbase article. Real people haven't joined the speculative gamble or fun of Bitcoin because we in the industry have violated one of the most basic user experiences principles. Don't make me think. You have to be really paying attention when you're trading something on an exchange, or you're looking up your wallet, or guarding your key. It's very, very hard, and I've made mistakes so many times, luckily with not too much money, but it's very, very difficult, and that scares people. So we need to have some type of platform, and a lot are in development, but they're still not there yet. They're still really in the weeds. Okay, so the last part, that's all of the challenges that are top of my mind, and I'm happy to hear at the end, some of the challenges that you guys think are out there as well, as far as mass adoption. So the opportunity has become a part of the solution. There's lots of entrepreneurs in here, developers, people that are enthusiasts, lots of ideas to be had, and lots of ways to make things better to kind of spread the love, as I said before. I'll go back to a couple of the challenges that I talked about before as far as price volatility. I think you guys have heard this acronym, this HOLD acronym, hold on for dear life. People ask me all the time, should I buy Bitcoin? Should I buy Ether? Which one's the good one? I said, when do you want it back? If you're looking to do this for a month, probably not. You're gonna get scared. So that will also help the price volatility. And then apps like Prism. The Shapeshift guy is, Eric Voorhees, is putting out Prism. Has anybody used Prism? Prism is a asset allocation model that helps rebalance your portfolio into different types of cryptocurrencies using Shapeshifter. And Shapeshifter, I think some of you have used that before to exchange between currencies. It's very cheap. Regulation. This is a really scary one. People don't want to touch this. And I put anti-lawyers. The lawyers have gone to school a long time to do what they do, and they want to see regulation. That's what they get excited about. But other voices out there, you don't have to be a lawyer to have an opinion about regulation, and to create models and standardization around how we should treat different parts of cryptocurrency. Competing altcoins, a way to improve valuation. When we talk about blockchain and cryptocurrency technology and how to improve it and how to scale it, we're not talking as much about valuation. What's the new gold standard? How are we going to peg the value to it? Is it always going to be the dollar? What if the dollar drops out? What's that going to do to Bitcoin? So trying to think about different ways we can be more creative about valuation. ICOs are ever more popular, and there's going to be a ton this year. We'll see where it goes next year. But this is an opportunity for standardization with white papers and some type of peer review, some type of council, some type of organization. There's some that are starting right now, but definitely a great thing to get involved in. The scams, the bad press, credibility and reputation apps. How do we create a better reputation for all of us between exchanges on an individual level, and then also for these exchanges themselves? I use cex.io. Their Zendesk has been down for 2 months. That's completely unacceptable. So trying to get some credibility and reputation there. And if you're doing good things in this space, publish it. Go on Medium, talk about it. Talk about what the hopes and dreams are for blockchain and cryptocurrency. Security. I talked a little bit about private keys, but also testing. We had, the hack with Ethereum a couple of months ago, just because they, ship too fast. What's a better model for testing? That's definitely a great opportunity for developers. A lot of developers come from a web background. Blockchain's different. It's more, an enterprise type of system where it should be tested because we can't go back. So that's a very good space. And then again, perception goes back to education. How we talk about this. If we can't agree it's all money, even in this room, or what the thing is, it's going to be very hard to do some education. So keep that conversation going, and then also educating people as well, and of course, the UX. So my opportunities, what I'm doing in this space, I'm launching a new site called She Knows Crypto that's going to be purely educational. So for your mom and your dad and your everyday people that keep hearing this Bitcoin thing and what is it, they want to know the risks. I'll be putting up some educational free resources there and writing there. as well as helping with ICOs, some best practices and consulting on white papers and creating business plans for a lot of these companies that think, this is the best way to raise money. Let's get 25 million. How do we do that? How do we put some legs behind it? So I want to try to help there. In the perception I already mentioned, how to open a wallet, how to really receive income and send payments. I'm in the location-independent entrepreneur space for people that travel and work online. We should all be using this. And a very, very small percentage of those people are actually doing that. And then not just investing and speculation. And then the last thing I'm working on is cryptofever, which is an app with better UX that you can send Bitcoin to your mom on. So that's it, that's me. Mariza Monteiro, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. That's my email address. And where to find me, I'm, again, location independent, but I'm currently based in Berlin. Thanks very much.
Okay, so we have the second presentation now by Joro Penchev. It's going to be about Sofia and blockchain. There we go.
Thank you. Okay, guys. Hey, everybody. My name is Joro, obviously. I'm a software guy. I've been doing development, software project management for the past about 15 years. But also, I have devoted a significant time to what you may call civic activism. So I've taken part in many organizations and initiatives that help us build a better society, I hope. One of those you may be familiar with. It was called Christov.bio, and we helped develop the national open data portal, which I believe was a huge step forward. But today, I'm going to talk to you about another organization that I'm currently involved with. And this talk, I'm guessing, is going to be unorthodox for these meetings. I'm not actually going to be telling you anything new about blockchain or cryptocurrency. In fact, I really know precious little about any of these things. So this talk will tell you how what you guys know about blockchain and cryptocurrencies you can leverage to help drive adoption of these technologies on municipal and governmental level. And I believe that you all share the opinion that this is very important and very beneficial. Okay, here we go. So what is Vision Sofia? Taken at face value, which is probably correct, this is about creating a vision for Sofia. So an idea about where we want this city to go in 20 or 50 years from now, how we want it to look like, how we want it to be lived in, how we want to interact as a community in it, and how we want it to be governed. Now, what is peculiar about this project among many such projects in the past is that this project aims to introduce a different way of achieving this goal. So it's not just a vision, it's a shared vision. So the key takeaway about this project is that it aims to involve all of you, actually, and any person interested in how the city should develop going forward in the planning phase. So what usually happens in cities, and in our city in particular, is that planning is done you could say in a small room, in a very tight array of people, and people who sometimes may be out of touch with what's going on. So what we want to do is involve the people who do know what's going on at the earliest possible stage, so that what we arrive at as a city will be more meaningful, nice, and easy to live in for everybody. So this may sound like wishful thinking, but this project is actually pretty official. It is backed by the mayor, it is patroned by the chief architect, and it is sort of run by the administration. But the core team that I am part of is composed entirely out of activists, NGO people, scientists, you could say, active guys, young people who want to show the municipality a different way of doing this. So here I've listed the formal end goals that we want to achieve in this project, and this project will run until the autumn of next year, so 2018. Obviously, the main goal is a collective vision for Sofia. So we want to craft in a dialogue an idea about every aspect of this city. But probably more importantly, such a vision will not be sufficient because it is very much dependent upon the administration that has to make it reality afterwards. So what we believe in is that in the process, the added value that we are going to create is a platform for collaboration. So we are going to gather together on a table or on many tables people who are interested and stakeholders in how the city should go forward. And doing this for about a year and more, we believe we'll create a venue where we can share ideas and collaborate further on. And more importantly, hold the administration accountable for whether all of what we achieve together becomes reality. This has also the side effect of citizen engagement. Citizen engagement is very important because it is the only way to do something in a sustainable way. Only when citizens learn, and you guys, and me as well, learn to care about the city as a home that we live in and we create, only then can we help make it better, actually, and hold accountable the institutions for making it better. And then more formally, the outcome of this project will be a document that will be translated in a new urban plan and legislation initiatives that will help make it reality. So the process that we follow is probably something that you are familiar with because it's the same process that you probably go through with any new idea. So we want to assess the current situation. For this purpose, we are hiring some experts in particular aspects of the city administration that will assess, summarize, and be prepared to tell about what's currently going on and what's being planned on city level. Because most of us don't know, like you don't know, I don't know. The administration itself doesn't know, so there should be a process that collects all this data and brings it together so that at the next step, we can use this data to make a better informed dialogue about where we want to go now. So this is what we have now. Where do we want to go? In every aspect, architecture, culture, entrepreneurship, sports, whatever. So we do this dialogue, we collect opinions, feedback, we brainstorm, if you would, and then we should operationalize it. So we should formulate particular directions and an action plan about what could be feasibly achieved in the time span of, say, 20 years. Then we run another round of synchronization, so another iteration of running this through a wider array of people, including citizens. And we summarize this feedback. And then we have something like a final result that we now have to prepare as a document, run for approval, and fingers crossed, make reality. How are we going to talk to you, to people, to experts, to businesses about all of this? How are we going to present this information that we have gathered? So a few venues. One of them is roundtables that we are going to organize. I, in particular, run the technology aspects of this whole thing. So I, in particular, will be organizing a series of roundtables and meetings that will serve as brainstorming for your ideas about what could be improved on technological level and digital level in the working of the city. Then we also involve local communities around the city. So introduce a series of talks on local level. And finally, to involve even more people, we will be creating a website that will allow us to reach a wider audience and that will use, hopefully, innovative technologies to gather feedback in a meaningful way and put you, as a customer of this website, exactly where you can contribute. These are the initial topics that we want to talk about, and these, to our understanding, describe pretty much the main aspects of living in a city. So I'm not going to run through all of them, but this is not just about how the city looks like. This is not just about what you can do in the city. This is also about how the city is being governed. Is this done in an optimized and efficient way? This is also about how the city can grow richer. This is also about how you can grow your business in the city. This is also about how you can create art in the city. So everything that you might want to do in this place, as a citizen, as a business owner, as whatever role that you have taken currently in life, we want to help you tell us how exactly do you imagine it happening going forward, and what the city can do to help you do it better. A brief overview of the timeline that pretty much repeats what I just said about the process. So right now we are at the stage where we are gathering information from the administration about what they plan, what is currently going on, what data is the municipality gathering, how does it do its decisions, etc., etc. The next steps is this round of roundtables and involving people who are familiar with the certain topics that we want to talk about. And this is a step where you guys can tune in, and I hope that you will. Then we will run through accumulating this feedback and formulating something like a plan, and then we will run it through again on this stage next spring. So hopefully what we arrive together at the end will be full of new ideas and will be very visionary about our city. Now, what is the connection of blockchain to all of this? Like I said in the beginning, we really don't know much about blockchain. But it's all the rage, obviously. So we want to know, and we want to leverage your knowledge about how blockchain technologies can be integrated in the city, be it for more convenient services, be it for markets, be it for building a system of governance that's more efficient and more transparent. So all of these things that I just enumerated have been sort of done, or at least experimented with, in other countries. Actually, thanks to Vladi. I made myself familiar with a lot of examples, and it's pretty impressive. Estonia is, of course, at the forefront, but also the US and the UK have done huge steps in implementing these technologies. What I believe at this point is the most meaningful way of using this technology is particularly for transparency. So implementing some sort of audit trail about how the institutions communicate with each other, who did what, who changed the data, etc., etc. But I'm pretty certain that there are also a ton of other possible implementations that can serve as well. So another bold thing here is obviously to somehow integrate cryptocurrencies as some official payment system somewhere, I don't know, somewhere in the administration. But at this point, obviously, that's wishful thinking, but we want to be wishfully thinking, right? This is the point of this project. So some pitfalls that talking to people I have identified are, first of all, the hype. So blockchain kind of seems at this point like a magic pill that can be used just about everywhere. But this is not really the case, I believe. It's always a matter of cost efficiency and whether implementing blockchain has any meaningful benefit over what is currently used as software. Another pitfall is the so-called immutability myth. So there's a lot of talk about using blockchain technologies, particularly in sensitive areas like voting, e-identity, etc., etc. So my understanding, shallow as it may be, is that if not done properly, this is sort of dangerous. So state-level actors, for example, can still change data and affect the audit trail. So these are some things that we would be very grateful to you to teach us about and to help us generate ideas about where we can go with blockchain. Obviously, a certain way that most of these countries have implemented is a small pilot project at some point that can that is a permission blockchain, private, and that can just attempt to use this technology in a safer environment. So these bullets here are the recommendations of something called the Illinois Blockchain Initiative. Illinois is a state in the US that's pretty innovative in this stuff. They have this agency that is driving this forward, and they have this action plan that I actually find pretty meaningful. So begin research and accumulate knowledge, identify potential use cases, which is what we want to do together with you. Develop some sort of strategy, create stakeholder groups, possibly that we interact with the administration, and start working. Okay, before we are done, I also want to invite Ljubo, who is the lead of our project, to tell you a few words about his experience with the administration and how this all can work. Thanks.
Thank you. So I'm even further away from technology than Joro is. I'm an architect, and I deal with physical stuff. Funny enough, architecture is a term that's used in programming technology quite enough, and it relates to the same sort of thinking. How do you organize the world around you, be it digital or real, whatever real is? I've been always on the outside of the, let's say, administration and the official stuff. I've been always on the kind of, let's do some experimental things, let's work on the NGO side. I've been friends with most of the NGO people around Bulgaria and other places. I've lived half my life abroad, and I've always been trying to kind of move things to improve and to make them different. But for since a month, I've become a public servant. That doesn't sound the most exciting thing, I suppose, for you. But I realized that if you want to change stuff, you have to get in the system, however, whatever the system is. And you can do things from the outside, but you need to get inside also to change. And for this 1 month, it's been, you cannot believe how the whole thing works. Like all your experiences of going to the administration, and they ask you for a paper or not or something. It's like multiplied 10 times if you're inside. I've become head of the Municipal Urban Planning Authority, which is supposed to do the big planning of the city, which it hasn't done for the last 10 years, but I'm hoping to revive that. In order to do a meeting, to ask for some data, to request the name of something, you have to write everything on paper. You have to sign everything by hand. You have to do absurd things which you can think of welcome 1960, but this is reality. And of course you get frustrated. And like you ask yourself, why the hell is this the case? Why are they doing this? But you find out that these people, the administrators, they also landed in this system, and they hate it as much as we do on the outside. Well, I'm on the inside now, but I used to. And then I ask myself, but then it's not the people, the administrators, the clerks that made it. They suffer as much. So what's the point? And actually the whole thing of the huge paper exchange, everything being printed, huge files with papers for everything, even emails, printing all your emails, you know. This is all done in order to have a trace of an activity or an agreement or a meeting, or, you know, in order to trace something. And this is where the magic of blockchain comes, at least for me as an architect, not a programming person, not somebody who's so deep into technology. I read once in a while, but that's all. The possibility of substituting this paper system and the whole complexity of hierarchical organizations within the administration, it's super hierarchical, there are a lot of people in it, with something that is much more even intuitive and based on technology. And I really hope that by being here with Joro and by doing this Vision Sofia initiative, we can relate to people like you who are on the innovation side of technology and who can talk to us about how to on the one side, technologically improve the process, implement new stuff, and that's even the harder part, how to legally work this out. We'll be trying to do both. but the whole idea is to involve you and people with knowledge as yours into a process that is meant to change both the virtual and the real world around you. A lot of the things that are around you are the effects of administration working 1960 mode. And not because somebody wants it that way, not because somebody hates you, not because it's just the way the system works. And I really hope we can change the system. Blockchain or not, preferably blockchain. But that's our kind of drive and desire. We have at the last image, we have our website, Vizia, written as in Bulgarian, Vizia with z.sofia.bg. Facebook page and an email, obviously. The best thing is that at this moment, this is backed by the municipality. I mean, really, all the political parties in the municipal council. I've been going around them, talking to them, convincing them. The mayor, all the deputy mayors, etc. Everything that Joro told you, this is not just a wishful. It is wishful thinking at the moment, but it has been recognized as a possible way of doing. So I take this as a chance, and I hope that you take it as a chance as well, because they have, let's say, opened the door. And it depends on us what we do with that opening and with whatever is behind the door. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. And we will have the questions to all of the speakers at the very end, so bear with us. And we have the next speaker coming up.
Okay, so you'll be speaking, right? It's you. Okay, so basically you'll be speaking about mining, right? And you've been in internet, I know, for a long time, so you don't need no introduction.
Well, some of you maybe.
How do you pronounce your name, though?
It's Nikolay Chakinski.
Chakinski, okay. Nikolay Chakinski speaking about some very interesting stuff, so give it a mic.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Nikolay Chakinski, and I'm coming from corporate world. I've been working for a company Neterra since the last 15 years. Neterra is a telecom operator, Bulgarian telecommunication company, which is providing standard both in complex services for over 20 years. The company manages an international network that covers all Europe. We have more than 50 points of presence, starting from Bulgaria, of course, all the main cities in Bulgaria, most of the main cities on the Balkans, Eastern Europe, starting from Greece, Macedonia, Albania, Croatia, and so on, continuing to Central and West Europe. We have points of presence in London, in Frankfurt, the Netherlands, and so on and so on. So I'm here to present the idea for mining data center. It's one of our biggest projects this year. Talking about data centers, it's business we've been developing since last 13 years, starting back in 24. With our first facility in Sofia. Currently, Sofia Data Center is the first carrier-neutral data center in Bulgaria. It's our biggest facility here. What we do, briefly, we keep your business online. We provide co-location as a main focus, as well internet access, private networks, DDoS protection, TV channel broadcasting, and lots of TV services like TV uplink channel acquisition and TV distribution. We have as well IPTV platform, GPS fleet management, and so on. So I'll give you an idea why to choose data center for co-locating your services. Mainly, it's because of economies of scale and because of security. You know, when you use data center to collocate your servers and your equipment, usually you save on purchasing, You can rely on dedicated professional staff. You can rely on it 24/7, of course. You can share the resources and you can save on capex. In terms of, you don't need to invest initially in building, ACU units, power distribution units, and ODs. In addition, you can rely on 24-hour access to your colocation equipment. And there's, of course, 24/7 security and video surveillance there in our data center facilities. As well, what we have is firewalls and DDoS protection, which is main issue last days. Recently, we've been receiving lots of inquiries from customers to collocate their rigs, their equipment for mining, and that's why we've decided to develop this project. What we see here is the technical overview of what we will have collocating your equipment in our data center for mining. Initially, the building is especially constructed for mining data center. This is directly connected with the power efficiency. As far you design your data center to be mainly for mining equipment, you can rely on very power efficient design and low PUE, which is power usage effectiveness, of course. What we have next, we can provide 2 independent power feeds, meaning that if one of your power feeds fails, you can rely on second one. You will have 24/7 free cooling, meaning that you're not only going to have a very efficient system during the winter, as most of the competitors have, but you can rely on this free cooling all year round, which makes the system very efficient and low cost. Which is the answer why, one of the answers why we can provide lower cost of electricity. And the ones of you who are miners, are there any miners here in the room? Okay. I would say a lot. You know that there are 2 main things when you talk about data center for mining, and these things are low cost of electricity and efficient system for cooling. We can provide both, of course. What we have in our data center, of course, is internet, fire detection, and I will make your attention to 24/7 man security. These are going to be armed guards, very important issue. And what we are going to provide as a temperature inside the building, in the data center, is 30 degrees Celsius, plus minus 5 degrees. So I would answer all the questions you might have after on. Thank you for being here.
Okay, so it's time for the Q&A. All of the presenters, please come to the front. I'm not sure where Mariza is. She was just here. I just wrote her, but perhaps we can do it without her. So, if you have any questions on these topics or on any other topic, please speak now. Anyone? Okay. Pass it around after that.
In general, there are 2 types of free cooling. Can you hear me? Yes. Good. In general, there are two types of free cooling. First system relies on air, fresh air, meaning that you use cold air when it's possible. Usually, this is when outside temperatures are 12 degrees or lower. And the second system, which we can call free cooling systems, relying on water, meaning that you cool your data center with water.
That's
Is that
interesting.
answer on your question?
Well, not exactly, because most of the money goes to the cooling systems in the data centers.
Correct.
And during mining, the heat is very intensive.
Yes.
And as far as I know, I'm aware about this mining thing. The big data centers, they spend most of the money to cooling. And also, of course, processor power, of course. So when you say free cooling, I'm just wondering, what do you charge?
It's not free because you don't pay for it.
Well,
it's free because you get cold air or you use cold water, for example. There are
but there's no
solutions.
cold air in Sofia now.
Well, I fully do not agree with you.
It's okay,
Sorry.
fine.
I can show you some.
Too much details now. Okay.
Yeah.
Someone else.
If you like, we can discuss later on.
I'll
and
definitely visit.
Share some
Definitely.
information in
Sure.
addition with you.
How much cheaper is the electricity?
Well, cheap enough. To give you an idea, okay. I would like to talk in person with every one of you who is who wants to exchange details and detailed pricing and so on. But I will give an idea about pricing. The price you're going to pay in our data center for, let's say, Antminer model S9, which is, you know, S9, with power consumption 1.3 kilowatts. The price you're going to pay is about 260 leva. It's total price you're going to pay monthly. Is that answer on the question how low is the electricity price?
I also have a question for Nikolay.
Go ahead.
Can you give your view on what do you consider to be the competitive advantages and disadvantages of setting up an operation like this in Bulgaria versus elsewhere in Europe or even elsewhere in the world?
Of course, electricity price, taxes, you know, we have flat 10% taxes. And of course, once you have effective cooling system, it's an advantage as well. And the temperature in Bulgaria are good enough to have free cooling system. So I might consider this as an advantage.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Nikolay, because you mentioned Antminers, I was wondering, have you already ordered some from Bitmain? Because, I mean, it's really hard to get your hands on mining equipment these days. So you might build your big farm, but what are you going to put inside of it?
Well, let me state it clearly, we do not invest in mining. What we do is providing co-location services, meaning that we co-locate customers' equipment in our premises. We have nothing to do with Bitmines or any other vendors, let's say.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
No, it's about 150 kilometers from Sofia, 1.5 hour driving distance. Yes?
Have you run it on? Is it active already? Or
It will be very soon. Yes. We are working on it. It's an ongoing project. Yes. Will you please excuse me? I would meet every one of you who wants to receive some more information so that I can give time to my colleagues.
More questions to any of the other projects and speakers we have? More questions? What you're interested in or something? So no more questions to the speakers, right? There is one there.
Okay.
Two.
I'd like to ask Mariza a question. Hello. My name is Bojan, and you spoke about user experience and the use of cryptocurrencies. What do you think are the biggest challenges related to user experience, but not only when we're talking about exchanges, but also to the other, also when we're talking about payments, integration, and services like this?
So first disclaimer, I am not a UX designer. I'm a UX frustrated person. And I like things to be easy. Well, beyond the exchanges, there isn't really a very easy platform. There's a lot of ideas out there and a lot of different apps in development. There's one called the Cryptonator. Has anybody heard of the Cryptonator? It was going around the Twitters. And basically is a app that's in development that's a payment system that just works on your phone. You scan a QR code and you can shop on Amazon. So basically online shopping with an app that's on your phone and be able to pay Amazon and whatever. It's connected to 4 different apps, Shapeshifter and like 3 others. And it was reviewed by a UX designer, and the review of each of the screens was 194 pages because there's just so many friction points. We're trying to connect too many things. So what we're seeing right now with all the different levels between the blockchain and the apps make the blockchain faster, the exchanges, there's too many layers, and that causes a lot of friction points for people, and they get frustrated. People are lazy. Like I said, they want it to be easier. So the biggest challenge is how do we take out those friction points? From my perspective, the exchanges is a difficult one. What I'm thinking with Easy Crypto is after the phase that you have a wallet. So you wouldn't go into it and actually load it with dollars or euros or whatever. It would be after I already have my wallet, here's the address, it already has money in it. Once you start to go from fiat to crypto, it invokes a lot of regulation. You guys have all signed up for one of the exchanges. You got to take a picture with your ID. That's already stopping people from mass adoption. So if we can get a better exchange that just does fiat to crypto and then have another platform until we have some kind of consolidation to be able to make those payments and make those purchases more seamless and not have to have friction points. So I would say the biggest challenge is all the friction points that we have trying to integrate a bunch of apps. We have apps aggregating apps that are aggregating apps, and people don't have patience for that. So how do we consolidate those layers? I really don't know. I'd love to find out.
Thank you.
Thank you. One question about the recent adoption of Segwit and basically the arguments put both by supporters and people who oppose this, let's say, innovation. How do you feel about this, and do you think that some, let's say, corporate interests may infiltrate in Bitcoin, which is currently open source project, let's say, and to at some point shift the idea to more corporate style of organization, let's say.
I heard Segwit.
Yes, Segwit basically being developed by Blockstream, and it is a company which has some patents on this. How do you see this? Do you see, let's say, some danger about Bitcoin, and compared to the other approach to the problem, with where Bitcoin Cash just increased the block size?
You talked about Segwit.
Well, nobody knows actually what's going to happen. If you look at Bitcoin, there's somebody behind it. If you look at Bitcoin Cash, there's somebody behind it. So when we are talking about decentralized systems, I think people have a bit like a different idea of what decentralized is. I think currently the status is, if you compare Bitcoin to other payment processors, is that other payment processors are just one point, one company. And in Bitcoin, there are at least a couple of companies that are behind it, because and also different interests, because it's miners, which are a couple of companies. Then we have also developers, a couple of companies, and it's more decentralized, but it's not perfect decentralization. There is currently no perfect system. Bitcoin is not perfect. Bitcoin Cash is maybe even less perfect or more perfect, depending on how you see things. But, I mean, everything is possible in Bitcoin. Nonetheless, it's open source, so I believe that if some new additions are done into the Bitcoin, not Bitcoin Cash, but the Bitcoin, these are visible to everyone, and I'm sure the community of people who are watching what's happening in the sphere will definitely have something to say if they see some kind of infiltration. And that is something very good about Bitcoin, that is very open, and any manipulation of any kind can be detected. So if we have something problematic that is happening, we are going to learn about it. We have now two factions, each one shouting at the other one that they are ruining Bitcoin. Who is right? Only time will tell. That's my actually answer on this. And one, okay, she has.
I think it gets to a bigger question of the decision-making process, because we have a very centralized and then kind of decentralized, as you said, two different groups. So whether it's SegWit or whether to fork or not to fork, or when to in 3 months or not, why, all the people in this room should not be worried about that. How are we making decisions as far as the governance of all of these different coins is a big topic for the future, and how we do that. Do we sit and argue at conferences? I really don't know. And then we have, again, another trust issue. Is this the right thing, and how do we make those decisions? So I think that's a bigger issue that needs to be looked at. How do we decentralize, and how do we be able to aggregate those decisions instead of just bitching about it on Reddit or something like that?
Thank you.
The guy who is looking at the phone. Yeah.
Hello. How the hell did you convince your mother to use Bitcoin? Yeah.
Oh, my father's not using Bitcoin. He thinks he's not. So you kind of have to trick him into it. Tell them the good news afterwards, like, oh, look, you gave me 1,000, here's 3,000 back, have a nice day. But yeah, I guess what I would say to that, and what I don't do, is try to explain the blockchain. I don't just try to explain decentralization, the ledger process, the nodes, that's all in the weeds. And when you think about it, does my father really understand how the dollar works? Does he know what quantitative easing is? No. What the centralized bank does, what the reserve does, all of that underneath that piece of paper, he doesn't understand. So as far as mass adoption, once we keep going down to the weeds with people, you're going to lose them. They don't want to hear that about fiat currency. So let's stop telling them about that, and make the conversation at a much higher level, and in the trust factor. Don't tell your mom or dad about the different nodes and mining and all of that stuff, forking. Don't tell them anything about that, because that's not going to help mass adoption. So I would say, keep it very basic, and use the trust factor, and show them it's going to be time that's going to happen. So it's just going to take time.
Thanks.
Okay. Hi. I have just one last question.
Sure.
Yeah. To Ljubo and Joro, since like at last you get to have a question as well, but like what Mariza talked about was the adoption of the blockchain technology, not only as cryptocurrencies, but in general. It's the concept is hard enough to swallow for a technology-oriented person. I like myself, I like to think that, but what Ljubo talked about was the exchanging paperwork for blockchain records, which is, like, in theory is perfect. But do you really see that coming before the mass world adoption of cryptocurrencies, which I don't really believe will happen in the next like 5 to 10 years, like hopefully. But like, do you see Bulgarians recognizing blockchain as a good record technology before the world sees Bitcoin as a currency, as a valid currency?
So the short answer is no. This annoying amount of paperwork could have been dealt with without the blockchain technology and just using old school e-government methods, and we are obviously far behind in that aspect as well. But what we see possible is implementing it as a pilot demonstration in a small, maybe safe, guarded part of the administration where it can convince people who can then on their own turn convince higher level decision makers that this is convenient for everybody, that this can help, say you bring money or whatever, that this actually works. And I believe that as experience in this aspect accumulates elsewhere in the world, this case would be even more convincing. So what we have been seeing in adopting digital technologies on government level is some sort of exponential adoption, especially in the past 5 years. Virtually no European country, let alone the US or others, have stayed behind. Even Bulgaria is making some steps forward in this direction, and I really see this as exponential. So in our lifetimes, obviously, but hopefully, as you say, in the next 10 years, I believe we're going to see some adoption because this is the direction that the world is heading to. But it will take a lot of work, a lot of convincing, and a lot of success stories to get there.
We need to show the good example, and we have a chance to do that. That's the point.
Do you know about Sweden? Like at the last crypto meetup, we talked about Sweden and their real estate record, the Immotny register.
Yeah, this is one of the good examples because land registry is exactly what the chief architect, who is sort of the patron of this project, is very much interested in, and he is a guy who wants to move on digitalizing this whole process and this whole stuff. So Sweden is a great example to get him on board, I believe. But this is just experimental even in Sweden at this point, so we'll see how it goes, probably in a year. What about, I'm sorry? Notaries.
Yeah, it is wishful thinking, but as Joro said, we are in the position of wishful thinking, and the whole legal part of how you prove something or how you show what the rules are or that you follow the rules. I don't think anyone is married to the paper. It's a matter of what we're used to. Everybody hates how things work now. It's not going to be an easy divorce. But if we do it without a revolution and say this is how you're going to do it, you have to change immediately, I think we have a chance. Put in a position that we actually, as Joro said, we don't know what blockchain can do for this whole thing. We hope on you to show us, to propose, to experiment, to kind of brainstorm.
Yeah, and if you're developing a project in the sphere, it's very advisable to make it so that people don't know that it's blockchain behind. Like, make it as user-friendly as possible, that people don't really know what's happening in the back, but they just feel that it's something useful to them. This is very, very important. Like, it's very hard to explain what blockchain is, bitcoins, how they function, but if they have an application that they can use and it's better than something that they have used in the past, they're going to switch. So user experience is very, very important. Next question.
Hello, I'm Ljubo. I'm one of the partners at Launchcup Ventures. We invest in startups. Mariza, it's a question about, as we are now in the protocol layer phase, how far do you think that we are to have a, how we call it, the white Silk Road application, something which is really powerful, really useful for the users, which could kind of drive mass adoption. And if there are such applications that are being built, which are, in your opinion, are they the ones that are going to have really nice use cases and could help?
There aren't any good examples. The best one I could think of was the Cryptonator, which is in a development phase. I think you can Google it, but it was running around Twitter and it had 200 pages of reviews of crappy UX. I don't think that entrepreneurs are really focused on it. I think there's a lot of speculators out there, and let's have the next big ICO so we can make $70 million and just not ship code for 5 years. People aren't really thinking about mass adoption, which is one of the reasons that I talked about it. Like, how do we get that usability? How do we make it not so cryptic to get a wallet? I think that really has scale. So while people are trying to hit really hard in speculation and dump a bunch of money in whatever it might be, casting a wider net, like Peter Diamandis, the billion-person problem. That's what we're talking about with blockchain. We're talking about the billion-person problem. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of resource, a lot of testing, a lot of patience. There's not a lot of money up front. There's a lot of money up front with speculation right now. So that's distracting a lot of attention. So the best answer I have for you is it's a wide open space to really try to get that right for your mom and dad. And that's what will work. Absolutely. I mean, there's a couple like Blockstack that I think Blockstack is one of them that's trying to make the transactions faster and build applications on top of Ethereum and on top of other blockchains. They're trying to add that layer. That's probably another year out. At this point, it's going to be off-chain transactions and then settle them later. That's what they're trying to do. Because nobody wants to wait 7 minutes to buy a pair of shoes. That's not going to work right now. And right now, it's like 7 minutes to buy a pair of shoes. So that's the problem to solve. But the development of the UX can start right now. And that solution will come. And it'll come very quickly.
Do we have some more questions?
Just to continue a little bit on that, we so far have $2 billion or close to $2 billion invested in ICOs who promise applications. So if these money are put to good use, we should have some applications in the next 1 or 2 years. Even if 99% of ICOs fail, this 1% should create something very, very useful. That's what I'm hoping for.
So, Mariza, if you have to give some practical practical advice to anyone who is currently in the process of an ICO, what would that be? Like, what do you want to advise them on doing?
Sure. I really don't like that it's called ICO, because it sounds like IPO. And I grew up with IPO, and it's not that. What are you trying to create? What's the interest that you're trying to sell? People haven't thought about that. They're like, oh, $70 million, and that's what I need to start my company. Are you selling equity? Are you selling a coin that's going to buy an economic good? It's not really thought out from a business plan perspective. There's a lot of marketing and sensationalism and hype around that, and you can get a lot of money quickly with that. So it's thinking down the road. It's also thinking a lot about regulation. You know, who are you selling to? You probably can't sell to anybody in the US. Don't do that. And how do you even protect yourself with that stuff? There's a lot of gaps, and I could probably go on for a half hour of all the questions that a business should ask. Instead of sitting down and writing a 10-page white paper and throwing up a video, ask yourself those questions. Why do you want this money? And actually think out a business plan instead of just saying, you know, we'll figure that out later. Kind of an iterative process. It shouldn't be an iterative process with the ICO. Why do you want the money? What are you going to do with it? And all of those questions after that.
Any more questions? So if there are no more questions, I have two more things. It's already 4th month where we have more than 100 people. And it seems that every one of you has like different reasons and perspectives of what Bitcoin and blockchain is, what they want to do with it. So I just want to make a small poll. Who of you wants some more education? What it is, like understanding more about it, what is happening, what's going on, who is like a newbie and wants more education, just to raise hand. Yeah, that's good. What was it? She knows Bitcoin. What was your side? She knows crypto is a good starting point. Who wants to be more into, I don't know, developing new applications on Ethereum or something like new use cases, more development? Still quite a few. Let's say mining. Less and less. It's becoming more expensive. What about investing? This kind of stuff. Yeah, that's the one that I was kind of dreading. ICOs, understanding from the perspective of doing an ICO. Less. Regulation, this kind of stuff. The implication of the legacy financial infrastructure, like what's gonna... One. I'm actually second, by the way. I'm working into that. Anyways, why I'm asking is because basically this meetup exploded basically with the same temp that the price exploded, which is kind of, it's good in terms of number of people. So we are trying to see how to develop it more and more, to create like small meetups, so we kind of cover the needs of everybody. That's why we partnered with Launchcup to kind of develop more of a structured approach, because Bulgaria actually has a chance of developing something here. Estonia is already far ahead. They're developing new currencies, e-government, and identity on blockchain, crazy things. Maybe we can become as good as them. So like these things are happening here. I just want to understand how to position it. Yeah, we have created one coin. Yeah, good for that. That's a joke, by the way, just to make sure that everybody understands it. That's a joke, it's a scam. And the second thing I want to say is that we have like the best chocolate. I've been eating it for a while. They have a very, very delicious chocolate, and these guys are putting all their documents on the blockchain. So I just wanted, yeah, so I just wanted them to say a few words of why this idea happened, and basically explain a little bit more.
Hi. Well, I will try to explain a little bit short about what we are doing. We are doing live chocolate. What does it, live chocolate means? It's a completely raw chocolate made from raw cacao beans with Bulgarian honey. No sugar, no any other things inside. We are trying to make the first blockchain made of chocolate box. We've got a little factory in a small village near to Lovech city, near the cave Devetaki, very close there, and we are trying to build all our production, all the documentation, to start putting all the documentation, the invoices, etc., all the contacts with all the stuff which we are buying on a blockchain. And after that, with mobile application and the QR code, and you can find in this particular chocolate what is it in, what is where the cacao is coming from. For example, from this chocolate is coming from Madagascar. It's one of the best chocolate sources is Creole cacao beans, and also the great Bulgarian honey. Also, we have started selling our products in crypto, also in fiat, but okay. We are welcome to try it. You can eat as many as like this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the chocolate is here. It's great. And thank you all for coming, and hope to see you next time.